Good morning all. I think it is audible. Starting the class. See, up to now we have discussed about the second unit. First part. We have talked about like load balancers. Okay, and then we have discussed about virtualization. We have discussed about virtualization, and then different types of virtualization, and then we have also discussed about SDNs. What is SDN and how the SDN architecture will be. All these things we have already discussed, and then to incorporate this SDN into this cloud. So what we need to do is we need to have NFV, network function virtualization. Please wait once. Network function virtualization. Okay. So this is the first part of your second unit. Okay. So now we need to start the second part of the second unit. And what are the different services are there? Like we have many services in cloud. So especially in this particular class, we need to talk about compute services. We need to talk about compute services. And then we need to talk about storage services. And then we have to talk about application services. We have to talk about application services. Got my point? So, what are these compute, storage, and application, and all these things? Okay. So, as already I have told you, in cloud computing, everything that means whatever the service or whatever the resource which can be given to you or which can be provisioned to the user, it will be given to the user as a service because he is subscribing for the corresponding service. It is not his own or his or her own service, but rather than that, we are providing. We are in the sense the cloud provider is providing these kind of resources as services. So, in order to give the services, to the user or to the cloud user, so what are the wide variety of services are available in the corresponding cloud computing environment? That is what we need to talk about in this class. Okay, so straight away we are going for the compute service. Already I have told you a lot of times. So we have some compute services. The cloud is a combination of compute, storage, and network and application services. Already I have told you a lot of times. Cloud is a combination of compute, storage, network, and application services. So now, typically, we need to talk about only cloud compute services in this class. What is a compute service? So that is what we need to let you know in this class. And what are the different compute services are available with like different cloud vendors, from different cloud vendors. So what are the different services are available and what are the services are we are providing. We are in the sense the cloud provider is providing to the corresponding customer through these compute services. So the compute service comes into under the category of like you need to provide some CPU, you need to provide some processor. CPU in the sense in terms of processor, in terms of RAM, and in terms of your hard disk, and where I need to put this particular instance, whatever the instance we are launching in the corresponding cloud console. So where I need to do this or where I need to put this corresponding compute instance in the cloud console. So what is compute service means? So if I want to run an application, or if I want to develop an application, okay, so you need a platform, right? If you want to need a platform, if the platform needs to be installed on an infrastructure, so again, if that infrastructure have to be deployed in an environment and that particular application have to run in that environment. So if that application have to run in that environment, you need some computation, right? You need to execute that application and you need to do some computation. How those computations can be done? virtually in the cloud computing service. Virtually in the cloud computing service. That can be done by the means of compute service. So we have different vendors of public cloud environment. So we are having some AWS, Amazon Web Services, and we have Google Cloud. We have Google Cloud, and then we can also talk about Microsoft Azure or Azure. These are the wide variety of, these are the major game players because these are the majority of the cloud providers who will render the services to all the corresponding cloud users in the world. Okay, so that is why in our syllabus also we have the service, that is compute service discussion is about AWS, and we have Google Cloud compute service, and then we have to discuss about Microsoft Azure service. So we need to talk about what are the different compute services are available in these cloud platforms. Okay, so typically when in the first thing we need to talk about AWS, that is Amazon Web Services. It is having a compute service called as EC2. What is that? EC2. Already I have told you about this thing. Again, once again, I want to tell you all these things because this is a part of our syllabus. Okay. So we have EC2 in service called Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud. Elastic Compute Cloud. So what we can do with this Elastic Compute Cloud? What we can do with this Elastic Compute Cloud? So already I have told you, if you want to do some computations, or if you want to run your applications, or if you want to have any particular application execution on a virtual machine, you need a VM. You need a VM. If suppose VM means a virtual machine. Virtual machine. If this virtual machine have to be launched on the cloud environment, means on the cloud, because in on-premises environment, what happens? On-premises environment, you have your own laptop, right? That laptop consists of infrastructure, and the laptop consists of your processor, that computing infrastructure. All those things will be available because you have an operating system, and you can install a server on it for your corresponding application. You can develop your own application. You can install your own software in that particular scenario because you have your laptop. But in cloud environment, what is the facility and what is the resource you have to execute your application? What is the resource or what is the facility you have to execute your application or to run your application in the cloud? Okay, each and every particular application needs a platform, right? Needs a machine, like you need to have a computer, right? So like that, if you want to run your application, you need to have a virtual machine. You need to have a virtual machine. That virtual machine can be given to you as instances, as an instance. We are calling it as a VM instance. VM instance. Got my point? So we will create VMs in terms of instances, and this with the support of Elastic Compute Cloud Service. The support of Elastic Compute Cloud Service. So what are the different kinds of VM instances you can launch? So what is the VM? Virtual machine. And you may ask me, sir, you are saying that it is VM and it is a maybe it is VM instance. How an operating system can be installed in this VM? That is the first question. And the second question you may ask me, sir, how the processor can be installed in this machine? That is the third thing. Second thing. And the third thing is how RAM can be given to this particular VM. Because we need a machine virtually that should be launched in AWS cloud. Got my point? So if you want to launch that, you need to have CPU, that is your processor, that is your hard disk, maybe your RAM, maybe your network. All these things are needed, right? So how it can be done, sir? How you can do all these things? Yes, everything will be provided to you easily with some templates, with some ready-made templates. Ready-made templates. What is ready-made templates, sir? So for example, right now I want to install some Windows operating system in my laptop. What I need to do? I need to have some operating system is to be installed in my is to be stored in my pen drive or in my DVD or in my CD. Okay, so then put it this pen drive or CD or DVD in my laptop. Then I need to boot it. I need to install it. Then I need to install some drivers for audio, video, graphics, and all these things have to be done. Okay, how much time it takes? And moreover that, in some cases, you don't know how to install this operating system. Again, you need to go for some admin. You need to ask the admin to install these things in your laptop. This is a huge headache. Okay, and one more thing. Here, your resources, your hard disk is fixed. It is only like maybe 250 GB. Your RAM got fixed. It is only of 8 GB. Your processor is fixed. It is only i5 processor. It is a huge headache for you because these resources got fixed. For example, if I have to install an application which is beyond this configuration, I can't. Okay. For example, my RAM is only 4 GB, maybe. My processor is i3, but I want to develop an Android application by using my laptop. So, Android application, if you want to install or if you want to develop in your laptop, your minimum requirement is of 8 GB. I cannot on demandly increase my RAM size because it is fixed. Otherwise, I have to fix it. Otherwise, I have to fix another 4 GB RAM into my slot. So, how much time it takes for me to do all these things? It is not possible on demandly within span of seconds. Got my point? So, these resources are got fixed up, and moreover that this is the configuration which we are looking for any kind of application in on-premises. Like that only, in cloud also, we need a machine with some processor, with some hard disk, with some RAM. All those resources have to be not fixed up. Not fixed up. Those were on demand, those were dynamic. If you want to increase your resources, you can. If you want to decrease your resources, you can. If you want to delete that VM, you can. Can you crash your laptop? Is it possible? Your money will be wasted, but I can delete my instance on demand. That is possible. For security reasons, I want to delete my instance. That is possible. That is not there with your laptop. You can crash your laptop. What happens? Your money got be wasted. Got my point? So like that, you have a VM that is called as a VM instance. We can call it as. We are talking in terms of instances. Instances. Okay. So that can be provided with a service called Elastic Compute Cloud, or otherwise it is indicated as EC2. Everybody is calling it as EC2, EC2, EC2. Okay. So how this EC2 can be worked and how this EC2 can be launched. Already I have told you in the previous classes, EC2 can be launched with you have a AWS account, not your Amazon .com account or Amazon.in account. It is the AWS account is different. Okay, you have to log in into it, and you will be dropped into a console that is called as AWS console. This console consists of a wide variety of number of services in this particular AWS console. In that, you have directly the first service is EC2, or otherwise you can search in the search bar for EC2. Directly you can be tagged into or you can be redirected into that particular EC2 landing page. Whenever you are got into the EC2 landing page, what happens is, so you have to create a new instance. In the top left side, it will be asking that create a new instance. Click on that. If you click on that, so automatically it will be the next step is it will be asking you for the corresponding image. What is that image, you may ask me? Because if I want to install a VM, that is a virtual machine, the first thing I need to choose is that what kind of environment you want. Whether you want a Windows environment, okay, whether you want a Linux environment. We have a lot of Linux flavors, Ubuntu, Debian, uh, and you have yeah, CentOS, Fedora. These are different flavors of Linux, right? And again, in Windows you have 32-bit systems, okay, and 64-bit systems. Like that, in Linux also you have 32-bit systems and 64-bit systems. So then what I need to do? I need to choose an image. What is an image here? Image file means you have an operating system which is incorporated into that particular image file. Already I have told you, no, you have a ready-made operating system, which is available in terms of an image, Please make sure that you are following this because this is very much important. Okay, so ready-made OS, ready-made operating system will be available in terms of for you as an image. So whenever it is like an image, so obviously you need to choose. Just you don't need to install or you don't need to configure this image and not nothing like that. You just choose it. Choose the corresponding image, whether it is Windows or Linux or Ubuntu or maybe any other kind of operating system based on your choice again, 32-bit or 64-bit. That depends on your application which you want to configure on that particular VM instance. Got my point? So whenever you are choosing this image, automatically it may ask you the next step is what kind of processor you want. And moreover that somebody may have a doubt, sir, I want to develop a application, so I don't want all the operating system features are to be included in this image. Image in the sense your OS image. Your OS may not or it should not contain all the features. Just I want only the required features I want. See, some of the offices or some of the corporate companies who will use the operating system with limited number of features for the security purpose. So what I have to do? For that, they can customize their operating system in these images. They can customize their operating system. Customize their operating system. How they can customize that? How is it possible? Because you said that already operating system is ready-made in terms of images. Operating system is ready-made in terms of images. How can you say that it can be customized? Yes, there is a feature called in Amazon AMI. What is that? AMI. Okay, what is this AMI? Amazon Machine Images. Amazon Machine Images. What this Amazon Machine Images can give you the facility is that you can choose an AMI, which is maybe a Linux flavor or maybe a Windows flavor, whatnot, or whatever the flavor it may be. So either it is a Linux or Windows flavor. So you just need to choose the Windows image and it may ask you the options, which features you want to include into your image or which features you don't need to include into this particular operating system. So you just need to select it and your AMI will be ready. Your AMI will be automatically ready. What is this AMI? That means they are providing you the image file. They are providing you the image file. What is this image file? That is your operating system image file. Any operating system will be in terms of image files only. Okay, so the extension of that file name is .iso. .iso. You got my point? Every particular image file will be available to you as a template. So now I am saying that Amazon is also providing you the customizable images of operating systems. What is this customizable images of operating system? See, customizable images means some of the features you don't need to use for your corresponding application. You need some another features which were not included in this particular application or in that image. So if you want to add them, you just need to add them by using AMI, that is Amazon Machine Images. These are the customizable operating system images. You can customize your own operating system based on your needs. Okay, so this is about AMIs. Now I have customized my operating system, or maybe I am using only the inbuilt operating system, either it is Windows or Linux. Then the next part I have to choose is my processor. Processors are of different. Here they are not providing i5, i7, i3. These are not the processors they are giving it to you. So rather than that, they are giving some different processors like tiny, micro, max, large, X large. Okay, so based on our need, we need to choose these processors from the corresponding list. A drop down list will be available for you in the template, and you just need to select what is this tiny. Again, in tiny, there are different kinds of tiny processors are there. So based on that, you need to choose and you need to select that. Got it? So this processor have to be selected. Okay, and then the next process is that you need to choose your RAM. How much RAM you want? Like I need some 2048 MB. What is this size? 2 GB, right? So for example, I need some 8 GB RAM. Okay, so you need to choose the corresponding 8 GB RAM for that, and then you need to choose your hard disk size. How much hard disk size you need? You need to select that hard disk size, maybe based on your application need. It is a 50 GB or maybe from the, it can be scalable up to petabytes and exabytes, but you need to pay the bill for that. So for that, what we will do in EC2 is, we will select only free tier usage. We have a free tier or free tier usage. That means you can use this EC2 for free of cost, but up to some extent, based on the conditions which were given in this corresponding EC2 service console. So this is about hard disk size. So after hard disk size, so I got operating system, I got RAM, I got your hard disk, and I got your processor. Now, system got ready. Where I need to deploy? That is the question. That is the question. So that depends on your application concern. For example, I am developing an application which can be useful for my own organization, which is not rendering the services to the public. Then what I need to do? There is an option. And if suppose, if your application is rendering the services to the outside people also, then what I need to do? Okay, it depends on your application need. Okay, so based on that, you need to select your corresponding application. So for any particular application, you have to install or you have to deploy the application in VPC. This VPC is called as virtual private cloud. What is this? Virtual private cloud. Virtual private cloud. So in this VPC, initially we will launch this. VM. We'll launch this VM into this virtual private cloud. So, sir, where this virtual private cloud lies in? This virtual private cloud is also lies in your AWS environment. This virtual private cloud also lies in your AWS environment. Defaultly, virtual private cloud is enabled for your account. If suppose, if you don't want to use that VPC for your account, you can create your own VPC. Create your own VPC. So I think you may not understood about this VPC. So I will tell you. So this is your AWS whole environment. This is the AWS cloud. Okay. So in this cloud, there are many number of users are there. For example, if you have taken an account in AWS, okay, defaultly the AWS guys will create your account with some secured cloud properties. That means whatever the default VPC, whatever the services you will use, whatever the things you will use, those were isolated from all the other users. User 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, user 6, many number of users are there. That means whatever the services you will use, whatever the applications you launch in this cloud, all those are isolated from these fellows. Nobody can touch this Nobody can touch this VPC because you are secured. Okay, defaultly it will create. For example, I don't want this default account. I don't want this default VPC account, but I want an account which can be created my own way. That means default VPC account I don't want to use. I want to create a new VPC account. So in that I can launch my instance. You have created your customized you have created your customized VPC. That means your own VPC. So you have created your own VPC, and in that your VM got launched. For example, if you want to do like this, and otherwise I don't want to create my customized own VPC, I can use the default VPC which is given by the AWS guys. I can launch my VM here. So this VM is isolated from all these fellows who were in that AWS account. Now I want to tell you that, for example, I have launched the VM in this VPC. So this is virtual private cloud. That means that the services are not rendered to anybody because you are not public. So how can I make it as a public and how can I make it as private? Because you are already private and you are just rendering the services to only your particular users whom do you service. For example, if I deploy my application in the VPC and I have given only the private access to my organization. So I have two ways. One is I can give some private access to my organization. That is possible through a VPN. What is that? Through a VPN, virtual private network. A VPN can be created. So through that, I can create I can render my application services to only my organization. Is it clear to everybody? So you have a ECAP in our college. That ECAP can be given the services only to our people because it is hosted in our network. Like that, if your application or if your VM is got launched in a VPC, which is there in AWS cloud, okay, so this particular VM or this particular application have to render the services to only your organization people. Is the point is clear? If it is the case, how this particular VM or the application is giving the services to your organization, how is it possible? Because it is not deployed in your network. ECAP is deployed in our server room, but this application is deployed in AWS cloud. So how you can get the private access? Okay, there is an option called VPN. What is that? VPN, virtual private network. Through that virtual private network, you will be given the access to only the people who were there in your organization, because you are giving the access securely to only your people, because you have developed your own application for the purpose of our institute, so that we are getting only the access. You may think that I have developed the application for not only for our people, I want to give or I want to render the services to all the users who are there in the internet. Around the globe, I want to give the access. Then what I have to do? You have to make your application public. So how you need to do that? You need to purchase a public IP, right? You need to purchase a public IP and you have to give the access through IGWs. What is this IGW? Internet gateway. What is a gateway? Gateway means a component which is connecting to different networks. So this application is launched in this particular VPC cloud, that is virtual private cloud, which is a different network, and you are rendering the services to all the customers who are using different networks. So if these two different networks are connected, or these two networks wants to communicate with each other, so you need a gateway. That gateway is internet gateway. That internet gateway gives or renders the services of this application to all the public customers through the public IP So around the world. So like this, I need to create or I need to launch this VM in a secure cloud called VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. Is it clear? Is it clear to everybody? Is it clear or not? So you need to launch your VM in a secured place in AWS console, which is isolated from all the other different customers, so that we are got launched up. Excuse me once. Hello. Classroom. We are launching this particular VM in this VPC. So what I need to do the next? Okay, I need to give the access to the customer. I need to give the access to the customer. So we have launched this VM in VPC and we need to give this access of this VM to the corresponding customer. How you need to give the access? And there are two things here again. You have to launch this VM in a single region or multiple regions, that you need to decide, because you have launched a VM in VPC. This VM got launched in VPC, and then what you need to do, you need to choose whether this particular VM is launching in only one region or multiple regions. In the previous classes I have told you. So every VM have to be launched in multiple regions, multi-tenancy applications and so why multi-tenancy is required? If any disaster got happened, one VM is acting as a primary. If suppose if it is got crashed up, another VM from another region automatically spins up. Spins up in the sense it will be giving the services to the customers as a primary server. So like that we have to choose the multiple tenancy region whenever you are launching a VM in AWS console or AWS cloud environment. So now you are ready with your corresponding VM with all the configurations. You have launched the VM in VPC, that is the virtual private cloud, and again you have chosen multi-tenancy features for that, and then you need to check again for a particular scenario called, because you need some security, right? You have to choose a security group. You have to choose a security group. Security group. See here in AWS, you may ask me a doubt, sir. In the earlier scenario, you have already told us that we are launching our particular VM in a virtual private cloud. Why again we need the security group? Security is multi-levels, multi-tiered layer security is provided in AWS. So that again we are launching a particular our particular VPC or maybe our VM in the security group. How we can create a security group? There is an option called create security group, or otherwise we can launch our own default security group. There is a default security group will be there, or otherwise we can create our own security group in AWS Cloud. That is possible. So whenever you have created your security group, so then what happens is a particular primary key will be, sorry, not primary key, sorry, a private key will be generated for you. A private key will be generated for you. So this private key have to be used to access your VM for any particular day. Okay. So upon you are logged into the corresponding VM instance, for example, I have chosen Linux as an operating system on this VM instance. Okay. So now, if suppose if I want to log into this instance, what I need to do? I need to give this private key, because this is only known to me. So I have to use this private key. So this private key is in the file extension of .pmk, I think. Okay. So you have to SSH. That means you need to securely entering into that particular secure shell. We can call it as a secure shell layer. So this secure shell layer will be there at that particular point of time. This private key have to be uploaded there, and then only you can be launched into that particular group. So before that, I want to tell you, I have missed one thing. You also need to configure your VM with some protocols. With some protocols. What are the different types of protocols you need to allow onto your VM? So my VM should not be accessible to anybody, everybody means what I need to do? I need to enable only SSH, secure shell layer. So then only this private key or this particular instances cannot be asking about the secure shell private key, and then you can enter this private key into that particular secure shell, then your particular VM got be launched. So again we have another protocol called, for example, if your particular application which is running in this VM needs to render the services to the outside people or maybe to the people within the organization, you also need to enable the protocols like TCP port, because the transport control protocol is needed, because the transport protocol port have to be enabled. Port, please note that TCP, and you also need to enable the traffic of HTTP, and you also need to enable the traffic of HTTPS, because without this we can't access the corresponding application online, because HTTP means hypertext transfer protocol. Suppose if you are launching any web application, you need this, okay? And if you want to communicate with another host, you need TCP, and you also need UDP for this. So these ports are to be enabled before you are launching the VM. So for that you need some private key. So through some secure shell layer mechanism, you just you can enter into that AWS EC2 console. Like this, AWS EC2 instance can be launched in AWS console. So this is the power of EC2. Now, one thing you may ask me, sir, if I have launched a VM in AWS by using AWS EC2 in AWS console, so then how much time I can use that? How many days I can use that VM, and how many days it will be alive, or how many days I can stop it? That is depends on your own criteria. That depends on your own application. If your application is running continuously, and if it needs to render the services to the customers, you can enable it in with your own way. But the thing is that you need to pay for the corresponding amount of time. Okay, so that is about AWS EC2. You can pause your instance. That means that VM can be paused for some time, and you can stop your VM instance. And if I don't want to use that VM at all, you can delete that instance. I can delete that instance. Got my point? So this is about AWS EC2 compute instance. Now, do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, please let me know. So because I have the experience of working with these things, that is why I have explained it in a clear way. So for example, if you have any doubts, I will provide you some videos, or otherwise I will show the practical scenario in the class. Suppose if time permits, then we will definitely launch an instance in AWS console. Then it will be easy for you to understand all these things. Okay. So the thing is that second platform is Google Cloud platform. So Google also providing the same scenario, but the change with the name is Google Compute Engine. Google Compute Engine. The same thing, the same VM instance. If suppose whenever you logged into Google account, so you need a Google account. So after Google account logged into the particular console, again it will be asking for some here some palette will be there. If you click on that, you just enabled with compute, storage, network, and all this menu will be dropped down here. You just need to select the compute instance, and after selecting that, you will be landing into that compute instance or compute engine page. Then at that particular point of place, you have to create a new instance. So after clicking on new instance, again the same scenario will be asked. You have to choose the operating system configuration as a template, and again you need to select hard disk size, RAM, CPU, that is your processor. All these options will be asked. After all these options, it may ask you whether I have to launch this VM in multi-tenancy region or a single region. Multi-tenancy or a single region. So because the cloud, the entire cloud, for example, if this is the cloud, the cloud got be divided into different regions. For example, consider this as region 1, region 2, region 3, region 4, region 5, and region 6. I'm always saying that multi-tenancy. For example, my VM instance have to be launched in multi-tenancy means I can choose based on the availability of that particular region. High availability. High availability in the sense every particular VM have to be run 365 by days, 24 by 7. 24 by 7, 365 days. So if I want to run the VMs with multi-tenancy, with high availability and with 24 by 7, 365 days, what I need to do? I can, for example, in this case, I have R1 and R6 is having high availability. They having high availability so that I can launch my VM in R1 and R6. R1 as primary and R6 as slave. So if suppose if R1 goes down, R6 will be pumped up automatically. So multi-tenancy regions have to be checked out. And then you need to check for again your security concern. Security group have to be created. Again the same scenario for AWS and this one. Security group. And then lastly you need to choose the protocols. Which protocols I need to enable. Okay. And after selection of protocols, you need to check for the launch instance. Instance can be launched by clicking on all those things. So then Google Compute Engine will also give the same services as AWS EC2 instance. The same scenarios will be happened with AWS and Google. And finally, we have Windows Azure Virtual Machines. The compute service in Azure is that we have Windows Azure Virtual Machines. The same concept. You have to select that particular compute instance, that is a virtual machine, and you need to select OS. So you may ask me, sir, is Windows supports Linux and all these things? Yes. Why? Because it is a cloud environment. It is not an on-premises environment. It is not an on-premises environment. Hello? Number 8. Do you have any doubt? It is not an on-premises environment. It will be automatically chooses, or you can automatically choose the whatever the operating system you want. The same environment can be created here also. So we have discussed about what are the different compute services available in different cloud vendors. First thing is we have identified AWS EC2 as a compute service in AWS cloud environment, and then we have discussed about how we have launched that AWS EC2 instance in AWS cloud environment, and then we went for Google cloud environment. In that we have identified compute engine as a compute service, and then we have got the procedure of how to launch an instance or how to launch the instance in a compute engine. And the third thing is you have gone for Windows Azure virtual machine. We can call it as a compute service in Microsoft Azure cloud environment. The same procedure will be adapted for the Windows Azure virtual machine. So then this is about compute services. These are about compute services. Now we will look at how the storage services are there. What are the different storage services are there? Okay. So in AWS, the primary storage service for any particular application is, we can call it as S3, simple storage service. Simple storage service. So it is an object-oriented service. It is an object-oriented storage service, so which can be easily accessible and consists of 99.99% durability. What is durability means? A long-lasting nature. Long-lasting nature. That means it can be available at any point of time. And moreover, that AWS is not a region-specific service. It is a global service. Everybody in AWS, every particular AWS user can use this service, because the services which were there in AWS are some of the services were region-specific. Region-specific. Some services are may or may not be used by some users. But this S3 service, that is a simple storage service, can be used by any particular AWS user. It is a global service, and moreover that it is a more cheapest service which can be used to store your data. And we have different kind of storage options are there in AWS. We can have like EBS, Elastic Block Storage. Elastic Block Storage. What is this EBS and what is S3? S3 is a object-oriented storage service. Object-oriented storage service. But it cannot store the large chunks of data. It cannot store the large chunks of data. That means what is large chunk? That means huge bulks of data can't be stored by this S3 fellow. But we can store the large chunks of data by using EBS, that is having the characteristics of block storage. Block storage can be easily carried out through EBS, but the cheapest service is S3. And for example, if I want to store my data, the old data, for example, I have my photos from my childhood to now. So I want to store these photos in the cloud securely with the cheapest service. That means those particular photos can't be accessed every time. Frequently, I don't want to access that. So you just need to archive that data into AWS cloud by using a service called Glacier. You can check the Glacier service feature. This is also some cheapest service. Okay, so we will discuss about all these things tomorrow. And in tomorrow's class, we'll talk about S3, we'll talk about EBS, we'll talk about Glacier, and we also talk about Google Cloud Storage. Google Cloud Storage. And we also talk about some Azure storage also. Azure is also having a storage mechanism with a wide variety of features. Google Cloud Storage is also having a service like S3, and it will also store the data in terms of objects by using some containers. And Azure is also storing the object-oriented service with some containers, and it is also having a feature of like EBS with a service called blobs. What is that? Blobs. There are different kinds of blobs are there. So we'll talk about all these things in the tomorrow class. Okay. Thank you. If you have any doubts, please let me know. And one more thing I will do, I will record a video by creating a virtual VM instance in which is to be launched in AWS EC2 console, and I will share it with Google Classroom. Okay. So thank you guys. And one more thing I want to let you know is I have already uploaded all the 3 units material in your Google Classroom, and all the questions, question bank is also got uploaded in your Google Classroom. Please go through it, and thank you once again. Thank you all. If you have any doubts, please let me know. If you don't have any doubts, then I will close this particular.